Man, they did the Pagans a favor leaving. The Pagans.
Welcome to this episode of Chatting with Staxx. I'm your host, Bill Staxx, and today we're going to talk about Thomas Wood, former Hells Angel, who passed away, with Repo Rod. Repo!
Hey, Billy, how you doing?
I'm doing great. Thank you for joining me. Appreciate it.
Good.
So this is kind of like an add-on from what we were doing before, talking
Yeah.
about Thomas. Let's get into it.
Oh, yeah. I think we left off down there with some stuff from Philadelphia. One thing I got to touch a little further on. Tom was not married to anybody. Tom had girlfriends. He had an old lady that he stayed with who, straight up his words directly to me and other guys were, he loved her kids, but she was a pain in the ass, and he was waiting to make a move to get away from her because she's, this ex-stripper, I don't know, maybe she still strips, who knows. Trash mouth, always caused problems, never knew when to shut up. After Tommy was killed, man, she was back into stripping down in Baltimore, and I can remember we used to get calls from there, and there's somebody that can talk to her and calm her down so she quits causing all this trouble. And yeah, she sent me a couple of real shitty messages. I don't care. I never liked the woman. I just know Tommy did love her kids very, very much, but there was other women that he loved more. She knows that as well, but she goes around telling everybody that she was his wife. She was not his wife.
Was she with him before he changed over to Hells Angel?
No, I forget the girl's name. That was actually with him for a while before that. I don't know exactly when she came into play, but she was a nightmare. Still is. She just still got that same stripper stupid ass mentality of just telling whoever off she wants. She felt like she could tell me, you're either chopped up with law enforcement or you're stupid or no, I'm telling the truth. You only know what you hear because, again, it's a man's world. It's not a lady's world, not a female's world, and definitely not a bitch's world.
She wasn't involved at all. She was
an old lady. She was one of his girlfriends.
Right?
Yeah.
If that.
There's a lot of stuff, that just never came to light. Like after Tommy was murdered, his truck actually wound up going down to one of the member Slim's garage. And it was there for a while. They needed to get it cleaned up. There were some guys cleaned it up. He was getting it sold. And I can tell you for a fact, like that money from the truck being sold was supposed to go to, of all people, it should have went to one of his other girlfriends, but it all didn't go to her, like it was supposed to, because, people felt that they had stuck a lot of money in a house and they were doing this and it sat at their place and they were entitled. But, they were the ones that were up her ass at that time. She believed them. I don't know if she still does or not. She might even have thought Slow-Mo was a great guy. And he wasn't.
I've heard about him quite a bit.
Yeah. I've actually had, I'd say like 3 ex-angels after our original podcast and a podcast I did with you that included Pee-wee reach out to me. And, we wound up talking on the phone. We're actually going to meet up. I'm going to, I'm down in the bayou and all, but I got no problem getting on a plane or hopping on a bike and riding like a real Hells Angel does. I'm not one anymore, but I still ride like a son bitch. Them bums in Philly, they didn't ride.
They hid a lot, right? When things were going down.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. Like I can remember we went up to 3rd Street. And it was like everybody's got to ride their bike up their thing. And Slim goes in and tells the members in 3rd Street, oh, yeah, look, I got everybody here screaming and kicking, but I got them here. You didn't get Slim. You didn't get motherfucker. You didn't get anybody. There were people who wanted to ride. But you cowards, lying-ass sons of bitches, didn't. Half of yous didn't even have bikes.
Isn't that a necessity to be a member?
I guess, but I guess when you lie, you can do whatever you want to do. It doesn't matter. As long as your lies don't catch up to you, just do whatever you want to do. Yeah, that's the guy.
Were the problems with a lot of the ex-pagans, or was it with people who were just angels?
I'll put this way, Bill, and I really got to say it because another reason is I know it pisses her off. All I can say is, I've given credit where credit was due to all clubs out there, but the pagans, you guys had a favor done for you. I'm sorry, Tommy was a righteous brother and a great Hell's Angel. The rest of them guys, be thankful they all left. I don't know how many you took back, you didn't, but they did you a favor leaving. Because, other than Tom, what them guys showed their colors to be, man, they did the pagans a favor leaving. The pagans. Because if they were that way with the Hells Angels and different places and leadership, and what were they as pagans, man? They did, Gorilla was running stuff back then, man. Gorilla, they did you a favor, man. They absolutely did you a favor.
Yeah, with the craziness they were doing, right?
Yeah. I don't know, maybe, I don't get back up there much, but Gorilla actually used to live over in Jersey, not far from me. I never got a chance to run into him, but I would have liked to ran into him and, talk to him. Just man to man. I think it would have been good. I don't have no animosity towards the dude. That was a different life for me then. It's not my life now. Were these guys the same way they were as Hell's Angels when they were pagans? It just blew my mind because, man, I'd gone different places and I'd seen cats that lied in the Hell's Angels that got their asses beat, thrown out because of that. And, basically that's when they all quit, man. When it came to a head and they could not lie on top of the lies anymore, and it was coming to a head, they bailed. It's a shame that it was allowed to get that far with them. We had some really good guys. It fell apart. It fell apart. And it was demised. It was just the end of it because of those guys that were Hell's Angels who were ex-pagans. What they did destroyed the state of Pennsylvania with the Hells Angels.
Do you think maybe it could have been a plan all along for them to join in there and destroy the club?
I don't know. You go back to Slow-Mo, when we put him out, pulling that trash bag out from under his bed with 13 full pagan member jackets sewn on, all the patchwork done. What did he have 13 brand new member jackets for? They wound up going back to Mangy. So, you guys are catching this. You want to go talk to him. He's got 13 member jackets of yours. That's all I got to say about that.
That's wild.
Yeah.
Could have been a coup, right? A coup.
There was another dude, I think the clubhouse down in Philly. That was in some dude name. They called him Subtle. The house was in his name, but he was distant even before Tommy had gotten clipped. And he just... After that, it was, he was done, turned all of his stuff in, and it's horrible to see that the supposed men, I was there to the last day, man. I stuck it out, and I had nothing but like a shit show of their lies to try to clean up, which you didn't even know what half of them was. You knew what some of them were because you were there when they were there, and you'd listen to them and you'd say, "Hey, man, what are you doing?" You got this one dude that stabbed somebody up, and you're claiming that it was related and it was a certain person from a certain group, and it wasn't. But you're going and getting an assessment for this cat on a lie, so you can bond him out, so you can get him attorney. I don't get it. We had another Philadelphia member that he was there at the end with me. He wound up after we were up there in Massachusetts. Later on down the road, he wound up becoming I believe it was a Bucks County warlock. This guy, George, he hadn't worked in 2 or 3 years, but he always had money. Always had money. I don't know. You don't work for 2 or 3 years. Your house is foreclosed on, but you always got money. He wound up becoming a Bucks County warlock from what I was told. I was jammed up at the time, but their house got, raided, like meth shit, trafficking, all this crap. And this cat walks away from there, which kind of, puts two and two together. I know the dude personally that was the Bucks County president. I don't know what his deal is. He actually lived like 2 blocks away from me. Originally, he was a hang around for HA in Philly, and it didn't work out. He had a lot of other stuff going on at that time. And, but he later on became the president of Bucks County Warlocks. And, he's moved on somewhere or whatever. That cat, George, was his name, was a Philadelphia member. Didn't work for 2-3 years, and then became a warlock. And that club got raided and jammed up. And he skated. Think about that, guys, when you were backing that boy up.
So after Tommy gets killed, you go to the clubhouse, and there was an incident where people came at you with a gun, right?
Yeah, that's when, it was time to get, all the guys were getting called up on the carpet. The club wanted to know what was going on, what was happening. You had the sign getting stolen. You had, all kinds of stuff, stupid stuff too. And they're telling lies about it. I think one of the lies they told was like, hey, that street sign that the Pagans stole was never actually in front of our clubhouse. They made it up themselves. No, they didn't. That was the dude, Byron, that was on the motorcycle the night Tommy got clipped. Tommy was protecting. That dude made that sign up and hung it in front of the clubhouse and was told not to because it could be reached and just taken. But he did it anyway.
There's a video of the news with the sign hanging, so they can't
Absolutely.
lie.
Absolutely. I heard some of the dudes in Philly lie and say, hey, man, we'll just tell them they made that sign up themselves. It was never really in front of our house. And I'm like, that doesn't work. It doesn't work,
Yeah, no.
But you go ahead and try it, But yeah, they all, we had touched in there before. They were getting called to the carpet, everybody. And
but you could have just turned your patch in and hauled ass. You didn't have to go up there.
You shouldn't have been able to. You should not have been able to.
You could have.
But many did. That night.
Why you didn't get chased out of Philadelphia. You never ran from anything. These other guys, that's a different story.
They all quit. Yep. When it came, rubber met the road, and I guess they really figured out, there was a guy that got trashed for their lies before that and thrown out. Well, y'all gonna have to go up there, and you probably gonna have to put your hands up. You might get thrown out, you might not, but you might need to stand up as men and fight. And I think, at that time, I think their bullshit had was coming to a head if it hadn't already came to a head. The lies were catching up to them. That's for sure. They just tucked their tails, man. They tucked their tails. There was 2 members that went up north and took all of their stuff. Yeah, they all quit. And I think, I wasn't there. And it was like, well, how did they all quit? You just let them?